You're muted, John.
Now, 'cause I just answered the phone. I didn't want it ringing in your ear. I only have two, but one of them's rather long, and they're what I've been thinking about. Number one, how in the United States do we get where we are now with the extreme polarization? Uh, And then since I'm just coming out of COVID, I've got one about COVID for my COVID book when it started. So I'll start with with the polarization one. Vietnam fracture. People often ask what started this terrible polarization in which we find ourselves. I feel it all began with the Vietnam War, which created two polar extremes in a confused middle. We had the extreme patriots who believed that everything we were doing was God's will, no matter what lies the policy was built on, a policy that was flawed to begin with. We should have learned all the way back into the revolution that in a two-country war with the combatants separated by oceans, that the home team always wins. And they thought it was all those opposed to the war were commies and traitors. And the extreme anti-millerists who took out the hatred of the war on returning vets who had no more to do with the flawed policy than Pinhead or Freduni, calling them baby killers, criminals. And even worse, in my judgment, causing into the draft. We should not have ended, we should have expanded, adding women, adding non-military options, hospital work, Peace Corps, Indian reservations, etc., knowing that would have continued that we all owe our fellow Americans something, taking away the we to become I. I only did 6 months of military service and generally hated it. But even without realizing it, I grew because of it. From day one, the service built teamwork. The first time in Fort Dix, that we marched along a bunch of ragtags chanting, Mighty A, proud rifles, we're all this together. And from then on, I became part of we. The Irish Catholic from New York City worked with the Protestant from Alabama who thought that the Pope was a heretic. The college English major found common ground with high school students who thought that reading was a big waste of time. The, the local basketball gym rat and fanatic found the same teamwork as part of an artillery crew. The kid from the lily white neighborhood of Inwood saw his black platoon mates suffer bigotry and exclusion in Lawton, Oklahoma. And we all became we, the American we. There is no more we, most of us, other than the military, police, and fire service. The rest of us have fallen back into our own little tribes and, and gotten us into the mess that we're now in. Once the polarization grew, stability was lost. No more Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill having drinks together after disagreeing all day, or William F. Buckley and John Kenneth Galbraith, who agreed on nothing about economics, sailing together. People lost the ability to separate policy from personality, to disagree without being disagreeable. If someone doesn't disagree with you, if someone doesn't agree with you, he's probably a fascist or a communist or an American or a bigot or a moron or soft on crime. How do we get out of this mess and return to the World War II mentality, we're all in this together? I have no idea, probably not in my or your lifetime or that of this poem. An end to COVID. This was written during the beginnings of the COVID epidemic. And it's in my book, 2020, the year of the coronavirus. A new way of thinking. One benefit of this awful virus, perhaps the only one, is that it launched a whole new body of academic research, begun by a very stable genius who could have been reached for renowned scientists had he not followed his business acumen. It gave us new insight into why we believe things. It explained that we have more causes of coronavirus than any other places because we test more. Brilliant. An astute meteorologist on social media picked up this line of reasoning, pointing out that we have more heat waves than ever before because we have more thermometers than ever before. In fact, more thermometers than any other country. If we less recorded temperatures over 80 degrees, it would be much cooler. I then moved this type of research into social science by observing that we have many more incidents of racial brutality now than 100 years ago because there were no televisions or smartphones and many less radios 100 years ago. Who knows how far this new way of looking at things may take us. For instance, if we had less reported death of lung cancer than emphysema, the tobacco industry would be in much better shape. I fear, however, that this entire field of study may coming down to a crashing halt in 2021, as I said then, if the stars align right in November 20. And the poem was dedicated to a very special, stable genius who people not living on this side of the pond may not realize that the person is running for president again. Thank you for putting up with my ramblings.